Okay. Okay, so welcome once again to this Gita Gyan morning session class. So let's
Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Not audible, Prabhuji.
oh sorry, Mataji. So let's start with chanting, praying to the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. Nilachal Nivasaya Nityay Paramatmane Balbhad Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Namo Namaha. Let's start praying. Let's do the Manglasharan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashat Deshe Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's start, as we are almost on the verge of ending this chapter 13, Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. So we have in total around 35 shlokas. So today we will be talking about the shloka number, second last shloka, that is 34th shloka. So here, as Krishna tells, Krishna is saying here that Yatha Prakashyat Yek Kritasam Lok Imam Ravihi Kshetram Kshetri Tatha Kritasam Prakashyati Bharatah. So if you see the translation, it says, O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So if any Mataji or Prabhuji wants to recite once, then we can continue.
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Mataji, anyone wants to recite?
Shall I do, Prabhuji?
Okay, no problem. Is my voice audible now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Amrita Mataji, your voice is not, I am not able to hear you, Mataji.
Oh.
Hare Krishna Mataji, now is it audible?
We can hear you, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, Mataji, please recite Mataji, if anyone wants to.
Yes. Yatha prakashayatyekah kritsnam lokamimam ravi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, see, here Krishna is telling Arjuna the power of Atma, the power of the soul. So what Krishna says that as, and Krishna compares this soul with the sun. And Krishna tells that as the sun alone himself, sun doesn't take the help of anybody else. As sun alone illuminates the entire universe being situated in one certain place. It doesn't revolve, keep on revolving here, there, go door to door, step to door, step. It just stays in one place and then illuminates the entire universe. Likewise, the soul, even being staying in the heart, illuminates the entire body with consciousness. So that's why we have heard a lot of things about, if you say soul. So if you talk about Bhagavad Gita, so in Bhagavad Gita it is said that Nainam Chidanti Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavaka Na Chainam Kledenta Yapona Shoshati Marutaha. So what are the features of Atma? That Atma cannot be cut down, Atma cannot be burned, Atma cannot be wet, Atma cannot be dried up. Nothing, no material manual intervention can happen with the soul. In the similar way, even in Shrimad, if you read Shrimad Bhagavatam, there Shukdev Maharaj says that Ekah Shuddha Swam Jyoti Nirguna Asau Guna Ashrayah. sarvago anavritaha sakshi niratma atman paraha. So here there's a word known as sarvago anavritaha. So it means the same, that a soul being in one part of the body ignites the entire body with full consciousness. And once that soul departs, you will see the entire consciousness from each cell of our body departs. We would have, we have not experienced, but yes, partially experienced that when we get anesthesia for any sort of operation, then that point doesn't pain, but even then it pinches a little bit. So for example, when you take out the tooths, we feel that something is happening, but we don't feel the pain, but we feel something is happening. For example, when someone dies, their body gets post-mortem. So at that point of time, no one shouts, no one yells, because that soul is gone. And that once that soul is gone, after that, the consciousness also goes. After that, whatever you do with the body, it doesn't matter at all. So that's why this shloka, demonstrates the importance of soul. That's why Adi Shankaracharya, very beautifully in his poem, he says, Kate kanta kaste putraha sansaro ayamati vichitraha kasyam tvamba kutah ayat tatvam chintya tadiha brata. He says, my dear brother, who is yours and who belongs to you and to whom you belong? No one belongs to anyone. And this should be, memorized every now and then. Every now and then we should think of this. Tattvam vichintya tadiha bhrata, he says. So likewise, this soul is so important to us that once it departs, it cannot, this is our non-reversible process, that once soul departs, it cannot come back. So that is why Prabhupada emphasizes in his purport, saying that it's a proof that this consciousness that we have is not a combination of all the 5 elements, material elements that we have in our body. It's the proof that once the soul departs, as the consciousness departs, so the consciousness is 100% dependent on the soul and not on any material elements that we have. So likewise, we should always think of this soul in a way that as we in our daily life, right? We always think how we can upgrade our life, how we want to have a standard life, our daily life for this body. Likewise, we should also think that how can we upgrade the status of our soul. And the status, there are 2 things, right? As we eat roti and chapati, so there are 2 things with which the soul gets very strengthened. One is Shravanam and the other is Kirtan. So the more and more we take the Lord's name, the soul becomes powerful. So in this way, Prabhupada says that we should never think that the consciousness that is there in our body belongs to some other conditions, but to the soul. And once soul is gone, everything goes away. And this soul is a part and parcel of the super soul, which again resides in our body, known as Paramatma. And Paramatma is just like like he just resides and sees that what's going on, what's happening, what are we thinking, but he never interferes with our work. So the super soul, this soul is a part and parcel of our super soul. And as we have always read this in 15th chapter, when Krishna says Mamai Vansho Jeev Loke Jeev Bhuta Sanatanaha, that all these human living entities are part and parcel of me. So in this way, we should always think that we are not a body, but we are a soul. And this is the first step that we have to take if we want to ride on the path of devotion. And that's why we see the 2nd chapter, which talks about Bhagavad Gita, comes in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, just to illustrate that without this philosophy, until we understand this philosophy, that we are not a body, we are a soul, until unless we understand this concept, we cannot thrive on the path of devotion. We cannot do, because we are so much accustomed to think of our body that doing just with wandering behind the necessities of the body, the night and the day goes like this. So until we think that we are a soul and not a body, we cannot thrive on the path of devotion. So in this way, Krishna compares this and shows the power of soul, that as the sun illuminates the entire universe, the soul also, whether the body is of 6 feet or 4 feet, the entire body gets illuminated with consciousness just by being of the soul in the heart. The soul doesn't get transferred from head to leg. It just stays in the heart. And by staying in the heart, it illuminates the entire body. So this is what we had for today's shloka, and we'll see for the next shloka how Krishna concludes in the tomorrow in the 35th shloka. Okay. So now I think let's start the Adhik Mas class.